This is Brandon Parker. Welcome to the Legends of Land show, where it's my job to deconstruct the tactics of elite land investors, how they think about their business, and strategies that drive their success. My guest today is Arturo Paturzo, an Italian Navy officer from Livorno Naval Academy. In 1993, he ventured into land investment in May 2021. Arturo began his land flipping business when he bought 15 infill lots in Arizona, and then he scaled from there. Arturo specializes in rural vacant land. His approach prioritizes understanding market dynamics and collaborating with other investors. You can find Arturo at diendei.com. In this conversation, we go through how Arturo works his business, has scaled it, and how he operates remote outside of his 9 to 5. Without further ado, please enjoy this wide ranging conversation with Arturo.
The Legends of Land Show with Brandon Parker. Deconstruct the tactics of world-class land investors and learn tools to build a seven-figure land business. The Legends of Land Show is starting now.
Welcome to the show, Art. It is good to see you again, and excited to have you on Legends of Land podcast today. How you doing today, Art?
Hello, thank you very much for having me here, man. It's a pleasure, and I'm very good.
Cool. Let's start with just get right into land investing. How'd you get started in land investing, and what's your current strategy?
I started in 2021 just by chance. At that time, I was living in Turkey. I was not in Italy, and I had a very small amount of money to invest. And I've always found the real estate investment something attractive, appealing. I do some real estate in Italy. It's very difficult doing real estate in Italy than doing it in the US, residential rentals. But and for this reason, I wanted to, because I knew the potential of real estate in the US, I wanted to invest in the US. But I didn't have enough money to get into the house market. I knew about the crazy competitions. So I started with tax liens and tax deeds. But that I found immediately that was not my way because of the competition. It was very difficult to get anything. And for the algorithm on YouTube, probably, then I noticed a video from Seth Williams, which is called Land Flipping Life Cycle. For those who want to have a look, it's a 20 minutes video that explains exactly how the business model works for land flipping. Straightforward. So it's very simple, very basic. And I thought, oh, this is for me. I understood the potential, especially for someone who lives outside of the US. And then I jumped into his masterclass, into his course, and the rest is just history. So I started there and improved.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. I know Seth gets a ton of people started. So now that you're where you're at, what's your strategy today? What are you doing? What do you look at for kind of target markets, and how do you market? How do you process those leads?
Okay. Other than a very short period, I would say 5 or 6 months, that I tried texting, not very successfully, I've done more or less always just mailers. I started with blind offers, then like for 1 year I did neutral, but I joined the Land Insights group, which is the group of Sumner Healy, and they promote, let's say, the use of direct mail / blind offers. And I said, okay, want to give it a try again. And I started in January 2024 with the group, and it worked very well. So I went back to mailers in January 2024, just blind offers. I target rural land. So I would say starting 3 or 4 up until there is no limit, but generally I didn't buy anything more than 100 acres, probably more than that size. You need some other marketing channel. I'm not sure that blind offer would be a good one. And that's pretty much it. The amount of letters that I'm sending out throughout 2024 was between 10 and 12,000 a month. Now, starting from January, I'm increasing to 20, 30,000 a month. So we'll see where we go.
Wonderful. If you send out 10,000 letters, what is the approximate deals you close, contracts you get signed from that, and what dollar value you're looking at?
Yeah. So my KPI said that in 2024, I closed a deal every 6,500-ish. I don't remember now the exact number. So let's say we're about a couple of deals a month. And the buy box, I shape my buy box when I create the list in a way that I can get a profit in my pocket, which means even if there is an equity partner, to share the split, the money that needs to come into my pocket must not be less than $20,000. This means that, of course, I need to target higher value properties. Normally, the lowest market value that I target is between $40,000 and $50,000.
Nice. Okay. Have you seen any patterns or anything change over the last 6 months to a year of sending blind offers? And then have you seen any interesting trends that pop up to you?
Uh, I'm not sure I saw a trend, but the reason why I like to stick with blind offers, which doesn't mean that I will not test another marketable channel, also because, to send out 30,000 letters, you have to download a lot of requests because after you scrub them out, and so at least 60,000, 70,000 need to be downloaded, let's say raw list, okay? Which is quite an intense work. I have someone now helping me doing that, but it's still quite a big part of all the acquisition process. At some point, of course, to scale, you need to make use of some other marketing channels. So I will probably try something else. But one thing that I believe is true, even if I didn't verify, is that blind offers is expensive. I mean, direct mail is obviously expensive. It's not going to cost any less in the future because postage is, will continue to increase. But in a way, this is something that makes a lot of people moving from blind offers to other marketing channels, which are cheaper for sure. So I don't think that today there are so many people sending out blind offers. So I would say direct mail like it was 2 years ago. So overall competition is increased, but I think that a lot of people jumping into this business, why 2 years or 3 years ago, they were doing just direct mail because that was the marketing channel. Today, a lot of people jump into texting, jump into cold calling, jump into LVM, but not a lot of people, I think, do direct mail, which is a kind of, competitive edge. And besides, I believe that the reason why I do blind offers, and in general, this is again, direct mail, could be also neutral or range, is also because I didn't track this as well, but if I think about all the calls that I took, I would say that 90%, 80% of the people that I talked to was all like 55 plus years old, 60 years old and more, which means that 7 times out of 10, they are not very tax savvy. I sold a property in Arizona that came back to me, the owner came back to me after 2 years. It was one of my first campaigns because they had it in the drawer and they found it and they decided to sell. Well, not a great profit, like probably 15 or 20,000. But the letter is something that you can stick on your fridge. You can take in the drawer when in the right moment, you take it out and you sell. You are old. You don't read the phone. You don't know how to text on the phone. You don't read the email. You don't have an email, but you receive a letter always. So I think that there is something into a direct mail that is not going to die. Of course, you need to have the budget to send out enough letters to get deals. That is, with no doubt.
Yeah, it's almost the same concept as the email never die, like the email newsletter list or your email list never die, and it's a direct link to someone's inbox. Like, it's going to hit home. Whereas text, phone calls, all kinds of inbound automations, all the technology stuff, there's spam filters and all kinds of stuff that try to stop that from happening. But if you send a letter,
Yeah.
it's going in their mailbox, it's going in their hand, and
Yeah.
you have that
Yeah.
confidence.
It's
Yeah.
It's a simple, straightforward. There is not, I mean, there is work if you do blind offers, of course, as I was mentioning, there is work you need to price, you need to download the list, you need to scrub. You don't need to have any system like providers, the cold caller or whatever to do. It's simple. Yeah, in simple wins always. Again, crazy expensive, unfortunately, but I think, in my opinion, is still the most effective marketing channel.
So you have an interesting situation because you're working asynchronously. So you're in the Navy, you work at like a job all day, which is probably pretty, must be busy. And then you're coming home working on land at night asynchronously.
Every
Talk
Yeah.
about your work schedule, how you fit it all in, and how you manage that from a time perspective.
Yeah, sure. I work in the Navy. I'm a Navy officer. I joined the Navy in 1993, so now it's a long time. I work normally, if I am not deployed, I'm not around, I don't have the special things, special duties to take care of. I work normally between 8 and half past 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I made the choice that to leave not far from my workplace so to reduce the commute time. And so in 5 minutes after that, I finish work, I am at home and I grab something to eat. And I mean, latest 6 o'clock in the afternoon, I start to work on my business. And this, I keep working until midnight, 1 o'clock, depends. Sometimes even 2 o'clock. It also depends what time I have to start the following day. So today, for example, is a Friday, and so probably I will go long tonight because tomorrow I don't have to go to work. The thing that of course helps a lot is to have team helping you, which is something that I'm building. And this is not just to scale your business so that you can focus on things that are more important to your business, but also to find the time to do that. Otherwise you couldn't do all yourself, having just a part of your day allocated to the business. I don't think that at a certain point it's difficult to do it all by yourself, having a very limited amount of time. You can do all by yourself, some degree, of course, if you have all day to do that. But if you have just a little amount of time and, you work bigger volumes and you want to scale your business, at some point you necessarily need to have someone helping you. Otherwise you can. This is my opinion, at least.
And what's the first what's the first person you brought in to help you out with your business? And then what's your business look like today as far as who's helping you out and what roles?
Yeah. The first person let's start by saying that I believe that in the 80-20 principle, the 20% of my business is represented by acquisition. So I'm not too concerned never about disposition. I'm sure that if I can buy properties at a good price, I can sell them eventually. Probably I cannot sell in 1 month. I will sell in 3, 4, 5 months, but I'm going to sell and I'm going to sell for a profit. I'm 100% sure about it. So having this in mind, I was looking for a position that would help me. And that person was Nika, who is a girl from the Philippines. She was already coming from a real estate experience in the US, actually more than one. And she's my intake manager. So she's the entry point of everyone contacting us, willing to discuss about the offer that they received or ask questions. She does this kind of preliminary check, go on land ID, verify wetlands, flood zone, total access. And then the second step is for her to pass the lead to, until today, it was to me. And I was calling in case of need of renegotiating the offer or there is the need to talk to the seller. I was the one doing it. And starting from the last month, I hired an acquisition manager, US based, Wesley, and he will start to work on the 3rd of February. So he's currently under training, but his experience was working even in his young. But he has worked 2 years in a similar position for a big land investment company. And then there is me. So he will replace me as acquisition manager, and he will get the signed purchase agreement essentially. And the other person that I'd have is Marwan. He's Egyptian. These two, they both work full time. Marwan work full time, but he has he is what I call a lead generation manager, which means that he is the one. I select the markets, he download the list, he scrub the list, he price the list, and then the list is ready to be put into my CRM and to be sent out to Rocket Printer Mail. That is the provider that I use to send out the letters. Actually, are these figures that I use. Of course, I have a person in the US who has is in charge of more admin tasks. I have an office in the US, which is his office, and he's taking care of receiving emails from the county attorneys or whatever, and then PDF them to me. And he's also the guy. He and also Wesley. I use both of them to help me with the signatures of the paper, being that most of the time I'm here in Italy, so they can sign and authorize on behalf of the company. And this is pretty much the organization that I have. The next hire, I would like it to be someone able to cover the two roles of executive assistant, which means jump into my email, jump into my calendar, and actually organize my life, not necessarily business related, my life. So I need to take, a ticket. I need to hire, uh, rent a car. I need to make a reservation for an hotel. I need someone to take care of that. And at the same time, this person would like her or him to be also a transaction coordinator. These are the two most important figures that I am looking forward to hiring in 2025 at some point.
And are you doing the underwriting? I guess obviously that's one of the main things. How do you think about the underwriting portion, especially when you get this acquisitions manager in between you and negotiating the deal? Are you going to do a bit of pre-underwriting, give him a negotiated final price, or are you going to train him to do that? And then what's that process look like, kind of getting the deal over the line and doing the underwriting when you put the acquisitions manager there?
Yeah, and then the thing is, he still needs to start. So we're stuck on the 3. At the moment, we are trying. I improved my SOPs because before it was me doing that, so I really didn't need any SOP. I had to create them, show to them, and discuss with them, try with them. And the way that it will work is once that Nika, my intake manager, has pre-qualified the list, going on NAD and verifying it, she will say, okay, for me, it's a good property or it's not a good property. This is just a pre-qualification. So it's the assessment of the intake manager. And then at that point, once that I will have, let's say, we talk about Wesley, he will be in place since starting the 3rd of February. Essentially, Wesley will go into the CRM, will verify the opportunity into the CRM, the card of the property into the CRM, analyze the property, go on the counting tool that I am using and Zillow wrapping, and come with a market value. Now, once that it comes with a market value, there is some rule. And I actually took this from Ajay Sharma in a podcast that I think was with Seth Williams. He explained very well how he has his acquisition manager working. So essentially, and this is also what I will do, I want Wesley to be at least 75% confident about the price, the market value that he will sign. If he's not 75% confident, then he will call me and we will see it together. If he is 75% confident, remember also that he has extensive experience. Okay, so I feel that he can do that. If he is 75% confident, let's say I am 75% confident that this property is worth $100,000. Okay, so he can take 10% less and 10% more, which means 90,000 to 110,000. He takes the lowest, 90,000, and he can make an offer up to 55% of that 90,000 by himself without telling me anything. That is, autonomously, he can do that. If that is not enough, he can arrive to, there is a sliding scale depending on the market value that he identifies. but he has a sliding scale and has also autonomy to make a double close offer to the sellers that are not happy with initial value for, let's say, the straight purchase. But of course, Wesley is aware that I'm always available. If he has any doubts, it's better to ask me, especially at the beginning. In any case, we will do, and we will work together. I will show him exactly how I want him to work.
Okay, and it sounds like the double close is if he's over the minimum price that you say he can automatically do, then he can try to negotiate a double close above that. Okay.
Yeah, like, for properties between 50,000 and 80,000, you can offer between the 60 and the 67% of that lowest value. Property between, and so on and so forth. So there are price intervals, market value intervals. And for each interval, he has autonomy to go up to a different price for the closing.
Okay. And what do you see for the initial offer outside the double close? It sounds like there's up to 40 to 60,000 range. What are your ranges? How do you chunk that down and think about what you might offer?
Well, consider that normally my offer, in my blind offer, the offer always goes between 48 and 55. And there is, so let's say for the straight purchase, okay? So there is a sliding scale, and the lower is the market value of the property that I come with when I price the list, and the lower is the percentage that I'm going to offer, but generally never less than 45%. I don't think that in this market, when I started, I was offering like 15%, 20%, and it was working. Now it's not anymore. So the margin is getting thinner and thinner, but it's still there. And this is one more reason why you want to target higher value properties. And then meanwhile, the price of the property increase, I can arrive in my blind offer up to 55%. But this is just as you well know, it's just, a ballpark price that you hope to be accurate. And then when the purchase agreement come back or the seller calls and you get into the nitty gritty and you see that exact property on Redfin or Zillow, you realize that your offer probably is off, hopefully not too much. And then you work, as I was mentioning, so Wesley identify the price and offer up to 50% of the lower. And then it's for the blind offers. And now I don't remember, but I have 3 or 4 intervals there into my SOP. And I think the first start from 40,000 to 70,000. And I think it goes between 56% to 5. And then there is a second one that goes between 71 to 100 that arrive at probably 70%. And then 75 is the most that I offer for properties that are more valuable still with double closing. If you offer 75%, it is a lot. It's insane. It's a very high offer that you make, but it's still a double close. And if the property is valuable, if you have 75% of $200,000, is how much? 150,000 probably. So you have still 50,000 gross profit that you can make out of it, and without using any of your money. So I believe in double closing. Actually, it's not my first way to go, but it's a very nice backup plan always in my offers.
What percentage of your offers do you think end up being double close, or excuse me, of your contracts end up being double closes?
I would say, I didn't track this, but I would say 70% is straight purchase and 30% the double close. But I have no problem. One of the things that during the pre-qualification that is run by my intake manager, so when she talked to the seller the first time, is, are you in a rush to sell? And this is a very important question for someone doing double close, because if the guy says, in that case, even more if I'm not 100% sure about the market value, there are not too many comps, the double close might become plain plan. So if I know that the seller is not in a rush, I have some doubts about real market value, and so that could be high. But today I would say 70% straight purchase, 30% is better close.
With the with your acquisitions manager, sounds like he's got training in the past, so he'll be able to be pretty creative. Do you have a fairly standardized script for the acquisitions manager, or is that you think about that more teaching concepts and then putting them on the phone and maybe listening to calls?
Yes, actually, this is something that I thought about. Having this acquisition manager has experience, I am more towards, in fact, I call it training. What we are actually doing is not a training, it's just an onboarding. So I'm explaining in how to price, how I price, because he was pricing also with the other company. So how I price, how I come to an offer, and this is how I work. I don't want to get too much into the details of how to talk to the seller. Also because I believe he has a more sales experience than I have. So it would be, other than teaching him how we work, and the things that I want, the how, I'm sure that he is more than qualified to find it himself. Besides, I suggested him to join, and this is true for all the people out here, probably they already know if they are Land Flippers, but Ajay Sharma came out on school with a nice free channel that is Land Closers Academy. There is a free course. It's all about sales. And I asked Wes to join the channel. And I am considering actually also buying I don't remember how it's called into Ajay program, but it's a paid program for him to train my acquisition manager. It's not something that probably I will do now. I want to see how it goes. Probably there will be no need, but in case that I will need him to improve something, I think that would be like a good way to get it done.
Yeah, I worked with John Matzner, who back in the day as a he did consulting for me, and he's a really process oriented guy. It's like everything SOPs and Notion, and he really got me all squared away as far as that goes. But then it was like the flip side of that, that's not as intuitive, is that sometimes you just need to hire people who are better than the SOP. Like you can't, for something like you're talking about, okay, we can go through and you write down the answer to every single question in the world, or you could remove all of those processes and that just tedium of documenting, and you could just hire someone who's great and then skip
Yeah.
it. So
Totally.
yeah, that's like a balance as an entrepreneur that it's always like wrestling with. What do we document just so solidly that anyone can do it? And then where do we hire talent that can come in and just do things that we can't write down?
Yeah, exactly. I also said to Wesley, hey, Wes, you have experience. I mean, he was working more on a disposition role and also doing some acquisition, but it's always a sales position. So it's it's still a sales position. And I said to him, you work for this big land investing company. I don't want to make the name, but everyone knows it. And for 2 years. So probably you are able actually to help me, doing things better. It's not just me explaining you how to do the thing because you already know how to do the things. I tell you how we work here, but if you see that something can be done better or you were doing it better in the other company, don't be afraid to raise your hand and say, hey, we were doing this way and I think it could work better and we can try to apply it. So it's a very, and this is true for all the person working with me. It's not that they work for me, they work with me. So essentially we work together and of course there are bonuses and series of not, if we go well, everyone gets its slice of the cake. So everyone is happy. So it's interest of everyone grow the company. And I mean, Wesley is a very promising guy into the company. And as I said to him, is I would like him to cover in the future some role like in higher level, like CEO or something like that. Once that I will be able completely I want to say step out of the business because I will never do that, but to work a little more in the background today. Wes is the right person that can help me grow the business, I think.
What do you see as a way to incentivize acquisitions managers? So Wesley's a great example. Like when I think about that, I've heard all kinds of creative ways to do it, but an acquisitions manager has $5,000 or $10,000 of leeway that they could get for you on each deal just by, negotiating a little harder. How do you get them to get that last few $1,000s? And have you thought of a creative way to incentivize that? And yeah, what's your incentive structures look like? Is it just,
And the moment there are two things that I think are important, especially it all goes into money, which seems like the easiest one, because of course nobody does anything for nothing. So you need to be motivated. You need to motivate your people by paying them the right amount of money, and especially I believe a lot into the bonuses system. Leslie is paid monthly, but he has bonuses for each closing. So I pay him at closing, um, and also the other people, not only Wesley, they took a percent of the gross profit at closing. Of course, they are different percents depending on the role that they cover. Wesley take more than one. It's a more intensive job in terms of bonuses, so that it's compensated in a different way. But the money is an important one, and money through bonuses is the best way to have the people involved. But it's not the only way. I think that if you base all your incentives on money, it's just about for your employee, it's just about finding someone offering more money and they go, which is the best way to lose your talent. If someone is good, you must be able to pay, but it's not only money. There will always be someone bigger than you that that knows that Wesley is good and is offering way more than I can do. So the next thing, which is probably the most important, is to consider them really part of the company. As I was mentioning before, you don't work for me, you work with me. And we are I don't want to say family because I never met Wesley. I will probably never met Nikki, but I would like to meet them. I would like to meet their family. I would like to be as close as possible to them, and not the kind of guy that if they come to me and they say, "Hey, today I don't feel well," don't work. It's not the end of the world. I have an emergency. It's okay. Just go. It's not. I'm not the person. I'm not even the person. I know a lot of people, and probably they do right, and it's the way that it works for them. Checking, there are a bit softwares checking the hours of the VA in front of the computer, whatever. I don't care. I mean, I need them to answer the phone when the phone rings, to do the job in a way that I like. I use open phone besides so I can hear the recording and listen to the recording. And, if there are corrections, I can write corrections. I also have some nice AI. I use the AI in a way that I can also train them. It's something and create. I'm working on it, but it's almost the final stage. So essentially uploading the recording and using custom GPT, it comes out with some suggestions for them. And that's pretty much it. I don't need to check them. For example, Marwan is the Egyptian lead generation manager. Okay. So he knows that he needs to provide me 15,000 letters on the 5th and 15,000 letters a row list on 25 published month. And I don't care if he works 1 hour a day or 30 hours a day. I really don't care. He can do whatever he wants, but he knows that those are the data that I need to receive. If I don't receive and there is no, warning, that it is like, I got COVID, fine. But if I don't receive, then there is something that it doesn't work. I want explanations, but otherwise I'm not going to check. So the report for me that you create and the trust that you have with these people, which must be mutual in any case. They put their trust in me. And so I put my trust in them. And there must be like a good feeling among the people working in the same company. And that is the most important thing. Money is the other one.
I think that since you have your military background, you're an officer in the Navy, you have a ability to lead. I've seen a lot of military people in the land business, and it seems like they have these leadership skills that are important.
Yeah.
That's cool. And what you
Yeah.
taught
The
people,
thing,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And the thing is that I was listening also to the podcast when you had also Justin Pichet. Yeah, he was also a Navy officer, right? He was in submarines. And it's true in the sense I have this kind of discipline and motivation and a team building mentality. Unfortunately, it's not always when you're in the Navy, you are a military talking to other militaries. So you speak the same language. They know what to expect from you because they are in the same environment. And you know how to talk to them because you are in the same environment. When you are a military and then you want to apply the kind of military framework mindset to your business is not always easy because you, in this case, you don't talk to people who is, they might be not as familiar as you are with this kind of discipline or whatever, but it's something that you can explain to them and you can try to instill in them. And this is always about finding good talents. And there are a lot of people who is willing to work and do a good job. So it's not impossible. It's just it is not enough to be in the military to have this discipline culture into the company. You need to build it.
Yeah, and it takes the right person. Part of what you're saying, it sounds like it takes the right person. And sometimes it takes sorting through 10 different hires to find that one person
Yeah.
who's a leader themselves who will go that want to be part of that. Some people just want to check in and say, okay, you got to sort through those people as quick as possible and look for the people that are looking for something a bit more. When I find someone that's a leader on my team, I bring them up. I start doing weekly meetings with them. Then I learn about them. Like, hey, what are your life goals? If you're here 5 years from now, what roles do you want to grow into? What do you want to learn? How much money do you want to be making? I know you're not working here just because you want to just work somewhere randomly. Like you have things you're trying to get to and goals you're trying to meet. What are those? And then I try to, move them through the company in a spot where, okay, you said you wanted more leadership stuff. Can you be in charge of this team? It's 10 people instead of 5. And challenging people, I think, in the direction that meets with their goals and then tying that to higher pay is my kind of recipe for when I find talent, keeping them around.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's so cool. I like the acquisitions manager role because there's so much there with how to properly incentivize that position. It just seems there's always some improvement to be made there. And I'm always curious what people are doing. Have you tied any of your bonuses to the back end after you dispo and you see how much profit was actually made? Just kind of as yeah, you were done
No,
that or heard someone doing that?
no tips. No.
Yeah, I know. It seems like when you start thinking through the incentives and all the different ways, since I worked in sales, there was all these metrics. And I just remember no matter how many metrics they put in, us salespeople could always find ways to like kind of game the system on behalf of our bonuses. And so I'm always like very conscious of the different incentives. And so trying to think through that. I haven't heard any great stuff for acquisitions managers. It feels if they were tied to the profit on the back end after everything panned out, but that's hard to do because then you have to wait 6 months for them to get paid and stuff like that.
One thing that I was considering actually was to do that, but I actually discussed this with the Wesley. Is you, I pay Wesley a certain percent, let's say, of the profit at disposal. So when we sell the property, but of this percent, I pay a flat amount. The higher is the value of the property, and the higher is this flat amount at the closing on the purchase side. And then at disposition, you pay the difference to the percent that you have agreed with. So he get money on the acquisition, like a flat amount, because he did his job at the end. So his job is an acquisition, but he got most of it when we split. That could be a way for him to get some money, some cash flow immediately, because especially with mailers, you send out the mailers and then it takes time for the mailers to arrive there, be read, respond, and whatever. You send a mailer today and we close the contract in 5 months. Like you start the product. So it's going to be that there is something there. I mean, I'm studying a solution that might work in this way. Not yet. The details are still exactly.
Yeah, I know. And it's each level of complexity you add on how you pay people. You're the one who actually has to get around to paying them 3 different times, all these different ways. And so that can get annoying also. Just that's something maybe if you get your executive assistant, you can be like, hey, figure this out for me. But yeah,
Executive assistant is a figure that I think is very useful. I realized that I need also to live a life other than a military job, and sometimes I don't have time to buy groceries. It seems stupid, but so I find myself in a situation where I have to run behind the little things that a normal person does every day because I don't have time to plan them. So to have an executive assistant can be a big help. And of course, it can take care also of the business. That would be a great hire. The next one, I think. And there is a book about it, is Buy Back Your Time. Buy back
oh
your
yeah,
time.
I've heard that. I
So
haven't read it.
yeah, done with that. And that book actually is a very nice book. I was looking there because I have my little book section is there. And that book essentially he explains a very nice, very nicely written book, and he gives some actionable tricks that everyone can apply in this business. When you hire someone, is that the first person that you should hire is an executive assistant taking care of all the little things that take away time that you waste in little things that don't bring money to your business. And so you can pay someone whose time costs way less than yours to do that. And you can do bigger things for your business that are more valuable, whose return is bigger for your business. So that the concept is running, I think. But of course, that I didn't apply it. But the next hire is definitely is going to be an acquisition and executive assistant. And I would like to associate also the figure of transaction coordinator, but there was
Yeah. Where do you hire generally?
for Nikki, I hired years ago, actually, from a company in the Philippines. At that time, it was called We Find Talent. And then it was bought by Bhaskar Pandey, who is another land investor, very active in Texas. And just the last month, I pulled Nika out of the company. I paid this release fee, and now she works for me, not through the agency anymore. And Marwan was through a poster that I put on Facebook, and Wesley, same thing. Actually, before Wesley, I started with another girl. We tried together, but the workload for her was a little bit too much. So she realized while we were training, let's say, during the onboarding, she has 4 little kids, and she said, I'm not able to. So well, that's fine. It's the others. But yeah, so essentially they were Facebook and this company. But I know that there are nice services. Like I know a lot of people using outsource your task, which they say is very good. And for US people, if I was not finding, if I didn't find Wesley on Facebook, I would have probably used the Hire My Mom.
Yeah, I know. I've heard some people like Drew Haney has a killer executive assistant who's local that he found on Hire My Mom. So I recommend them for a pretty high quality, especially when people are looking for someone like boots on the ground that can file paperwork and things like that if they're working in a specific county. But yeah, curious what CRM you use.
I use the GoHighLevel.
Okay. Nice.
And
And you
GoHighLevel
custom build that all yourself?
yeah. Yes, it's not actually. I know that if you buy GoHighLevel just from GoHighLevel, is going to be more expensive, but it comes with full assistance. And in my case, I mentioned before that for a short period, I was doing texting, and I was doing texting using Area Reply. Area Reply comes with an embedded GoHighLevel CRM site today, and it's very cheap because it's like $49 per month. And so today I don't do texting. I still have Area Reply, and I use it just for the CRM. So I use this GoHighLevel. So I have to customize it myself. I'm sure that it could be done way better than it is. I don't have a lot of automations. There is like the new lead and I receive the message on open phone or Slack. But other than that, I don't try to explore anything further than that. But at some point, probably I will hire someone to make it more effective. At this moment, it's not a priority. It works well as it is.
Yeah, the GoHighLevel is a great tool. Actually, we're going really hard in GoHighLevel right now. What we're working on is automated nurture sequences with text and email, but with conversational AI, with the goal of reactivating old lists with conversational AI and then booking
Awesome.
appointments for people. So the idea is that
Awesome.
there's probably some like low hanging fruit as far as all these leads that we go out and capture as land investors. We might have hundreds or even thousands of kind of dead leads. And if we could throw them in a bucket and then just with AI have conversational text and email booking appointments, I think there's some value there, some hidden value. So that's what we're playing with, or we're not playing with it. We're going hard on that right now. So
The time is nice. It's a great tool, and I want to become better. And I don't know if I really need now that level that you are at, but I heard also he also sell his GoHighLevel CRM that has some functionality like the one that you were mentioning, for example, the ringless voicemail, and they can answer all 24/7, and so the speed of, how do they call it, beat to lead, probably, I don't remember, but the velocity to respond to a lead coming in seems to be like a very critical part of, plays an important part in closing the deal. And so he wants to reduce it by having an automated AI plugged into the GoHighLevel and to do a lot of nice stuff, is trained and all this kind of stuff. I'm very far from it. So it's very amazing.
I mean, and you said it well in the beginning. You run a simple, provable business. You can run asynchronously, and like you're setting up something for freedom of your time, which is yeah. Everyone does the land business differently. You can build a company with 100 people in it, or you can do where you can take off for 2 weeks and still be doing deals. So you can do it all kinds of different ways. Art, it's been so cool to learn about your land business. And I love that you do it at the same time that you're working in the Navy. That's impressive. And the team you've built, leadership that you have to pull off what you're doing is really cool. Yeah, I'd love to follow up with you 6 months from now, see where you're at and what you're doing. Did you have any final thoughts, anything we kind of skipped over that you'd like to retouch on? And then is there anything that you're looking for, like as far as connections or people that you'd like to meet in the land community or anything like that? Yeah.
Yeah, I just like whoever wants to reach out to me, they can shoot an email to art@diendei.com, or they can find me on Facebook. I am moderately active. I wasn't more active before, but now I don't have a lot of time to be active on the groups. But I always see a lot of stuff on there, and I'm just looking forward. And for me, I mean, to be in the podcast is just a way to have people talk to people, and networking is the reason why I like to talk to. I really love the land, doing the land, talk about the land. So I don't look anything out of a podcast or a conference other than knowing people and have fun talking about the things that we love the most, essentially.
Awesome. Great to have you on the show, Art. I'm sure we'll talk again soon. And that's it for today. So have a good day.
The Legends of
Thank you.
Land Show.